Hello, everybody, and welcome to Noel the Red Devil. We are here to react to Erik Ten Hag's press conference, which wasn't a very long press conference in relation to the Borussia Dortmund game. Again, American journalists asking him what it was like to be in America. He was asked actually a great question about, going to these preseason tours and doing the commercial side of it. And he says that, Manchester United is 1, 2, 3. Basically, it's a global brand and you've got to get the balance right. Again, he emphasized the fact that a lot of planning had gone into this pre-season. And he has also said that as far as he's concerned, it has been a successful tour of the US. I have to say myself, I think the officiating in the LMS, the standard of refereeing, yes, it's bad in the Premier League, but it's absolutely awful in that LMS league. We've also, Kobe has been injured as well when a Real Madrid player dramatically fell on the ground and fell on top of him. This is what Real Madrid are good at doing anyway, injuring other people's, other teams' players. But he was asked about all the work he has done and what that means moving forward. He was also asked about Marcus Rashford. This is what he had to say when he was asked the question by United Muppeteers, who said, I asked Erik Ten Hag at his press conference today about whether the early signings this summer allowed him to feel better equipped to implement the philosophy he wants to play with. And Ten Hag's response was, big difference to last year. Now we have a foundation because we built the foundation with this squad last season, the way it plays. Now we have to find the right players to fit in. We did that with Onana, we did that with Mount, and now we have to find the right striker. And I will be going live again today and then later on for the game. We do have some news on a striker, and we also are going to discuss Mason Greenwood because there was media reports out there about his potential return, and we will be giving our opinions about that. So tune in a little bit later on. So he says that he has built a good foundation from last year. Obviously, the players there. Again, he was asked by one of the journalists about getting players in early, and of course that is a benefit. I don't think anybody can deny that. It's same kind of questions that he gets asked. But he was asked about Marcus Rashford and what he expects from Marcus Rashford going forward. He said, yes, Marcus Rashford had a great season, recently signed a new contract, but just because he had a great season doesn't guarantee that the next season is going to be great. He's got to work hard for it. Basically, all the same stuff that he has been saying about all these players all along. They've got to work hard for it. They've got to want it. And in fairness to him, Erik Ten Hag has praised Marcus Rashford for putting the work in. This isn't just a manager. Marcus Rashford wouldn't have scored all of those goals if he didn't put the hard work in, which he did. Remember, last year was the first pre-season that we actually had him without any injuries, and it's the same this time around. So he is putting the hard work in, and we have seen that on the pitch. Now, pre-season is not really one to be judging with. We've had some fairly decent games, and the Real Madrid game, I thought the officiating was a disgrace anyway. And lots of people are already out blaming Onana for that goal and all of this rubbish. I'm not going to get into that. If you're not going to give the lad a chance, then, go and support someone else. Simple as that. It'll be the same when we talk about Ramos Højlund a little bit later on. And of course, Mason Mount is here. Look, I didn't want Mason Mount, but he's a Manchester United player now. I didn't think he should get the number 7 jersey either. But at the end of the day, he's a Manchester United player, and I will support him and give him a chance, because remember, it'll be only his first season at the club. So, he thought, as I said, there wasn't really much in this press conference. He was obviously asked about Ramos Højlund, but at the time of the press conference, we hadn't. Wow, what's that? What the hell is that? I mean, it sounds like an aeroplane, but that's very... Wow. That's weird. Anyway, let's hope that doesn't keep up. It's not an earthquake or something. We don't get earthquakes in Ireland, but we had mild tremors back in the day. But anyway, back to this. So he was asked about Ramos Højlund, and his response was basically, I can't talk about players who are under contract at another club. But he did emphasize the fact that it is important that we get these players in. He seems to be happy enough with the way Manchester United seem to be conducting their business. Recent reports suggest as well is that when it came to pre-season, he was involved in every aspect of the planning and the detailing of that, just like we heard in his last press conference, where he has took it upon himself to get the academy players and the manager to get them to play the Ten Hag way. He also stayed behind with the academy players, obviously, for that Wrexham game where we got beaten, but he was there to observe these players. Obviously, at halftime, he would have went in there with the under-21 coach or the academy coach and had a chat with the players. But this was an opportunity for the younger players to get some minutes under their belt, for Ten Hag to assess which players he thinks moving forward could actually end up at the club. And that brings me to the nice little segue about the academy players. He did bring up the academy players and said that this was a great opportunity for some of them to actually get into the squad, because we needed a big squad because of all the competitions that we're going to be in. So it was very important to have a big squad. So he did say that there was an opportunity there for some of the academy players. So, I think a few of the academy players have really stepped up to the mark. And I think, if Kobe wasn't injured, I think he would have featured tonight. But Bruno Fernandes and all of the other Manchester United players rallied around the young academy player. And Bruno even went as far as to say, hurry up and get back into the team. So Bruno Fernandes seems to be very comfortable with playing with Kobe, which is absolutely fantastic that our captain thinks that this kid has real potential. So, look, there's some aspects of this preseason that we could be very happy about. There are still a few concerns there. For me, playing Bruno on the right has not worked for Erik Ten Hag, but it's something that he seems to persist with. But I think that will change now that we have a striker. And, if we will talk about as well, it's not actually part of the main news with Mason Greenwood, and I'll edit the title of the video, but I forgot to put in Amrabat, because apparently that is the next deal that we're doing, according to Fabrizio Romano. He says that the deal was always going to be the next deal that was going to be done. So either Manchester, look, I would be like most Manchester United fans when we say that the club is incapable of doing multiple transfer deals at a time, or trying to get players out at the same time. We seem to do it one player at a time. But I think the club have an excuse this time, and I'm not defending the club because I want the Glazers out just as much as the rest of you. I can't wait to see those parasites gone. But maybe the case we've heard now that a lot of players, I think Fred apparently is gone for 15 million. I don't know if that's actually confirmed yet, but Fred apparently is gone for 15 million, which is a joke anyway because he's worth more than that, in fairness. But it looks like we're selling players. Henderson as well apparently is gone, and we've got other players leaving. My suspicion is that United have had to guarantee that some players are actually leaving the club before they make any other bids for any other clubs. Now, they've probably informed the clubs and those players of those clubs, look, we're just waiting to shift a couple of players, but we are going to come in with a bid. And maybe that's why we've been hearing all the time that United are prepared in a bid. Prepare FC is what fans have been saying. This transfer window, we have been very frustrated, but slowly but surely, the manager is getting the players in that he wants. And if it's not official yet, but if we've signed Ramos Haaland, then he's gotten his striker. Listen, I have me doubts about that lad. The transfer fee, he's got a lot of potential apparently. But again, if he is a Manchester United player, I will back him. I will, of course, understand that he's in his 20s, his early 20s, folks. So he's going to need time to adjust. Actually, a Man United fan put up a great stat saying it took Rooney, Ronaldo, and certain players 2 or 3 seasons to get 20 goals. So, we got to be patient with this kid. We got to give him a chance. But from the clips I've seen, and you can't really judge on clips, to be quite honest, you can't. But from the clips that I have seen, he does look like a Haaland type of striker. Now, if he turns out to be just as good as Haaland, then we have done some very good business at the price that he is at. But for right now, I'm going to say it out straight. For me, the price is too much. And I'll get into it a little bit more when we talk about Haaland, Mason Greenwood and Amrabat. So that was really it from the press conference. He was asked about what was it like, the tour, America, all of this, and he said it was great and a very successful pre-season. So we will talk. Also, Sky News, you got to love them, and we will bring it up soon. But Sky News asked them about Ramos Haaland, and again, he gives to say, I love. Look, some decisions he makes, some of these substitutions, I think, come on a little bit too late sometimes. But you know what? This man has got our team playing football again. There is a few little missing pieces to that jigsaw, and I hope the jigsaw pieces that he's brought in, right, are the final pieces of the jigsaw for that he needs for this season to cope with what we've got to do. But I'm buzzing. Look, the Real Madrid game annoyed me. The Wrexham game did annoy me. We should have been beating Wrexham, even with the academy players, but for whatever reason, it just didn't happen, right? That can happen, right? But overall, I have to be quite honest with you. I've been mildly optimistic, and I am, about our chances this season of actually pushing maybe for that second place. We got to see what other clubs do in the transfer window. Obviously, Chelsea are buying players. They've also let a lot of players go as well. City as well have lost some. They've lost some. Do you know what? I don't think people have actually realised. City have lost some hard hitters. I mean, Mahrez is gone. Who else is gone? Walker is gone. They've lost now. Look, obviously, Pep Guardiola is not stupid. It always seems when they get rid of these big, high-profile players and stuff, they always seem to adapt, but there always is a little adjustment period. So if United could start off the season well and get some momentum, because again, City are always slow. They're always slow. It goes two ways with City. They either have a flying start, but then by October, November, they have a bit of a sticky run, and then they sort themselves out, and then they end up staying going on that big long run. But they always have a sticky patch. Every season they've had a sticky patch. Even against Liverpool and City, when it was that close between the two of them, both of them had sticky patches. Even City did. City would draw games, but then Liverpool wouldn't capitalise on it and maybe draw or lose the game, So there is opportunities there for United, and if the players he brings in are the right players and he thinks they're the ones that are going to take us forward and take us to... Look, I know our manager right now. I think we all do, right? This fella wants to win the Premier League, right? So, he's not bringing in these players just to shore up numbers. He has seen something in them all that he wants to bring to the squad, and he believes that adding them would bring us closer to success. I hope he's right, because I have me doubts on Mason Mount, I got to be honest with you. But again, he's a Man United player. I'll back him. I have me doubts about that striker. But again, I'll back him. He's a Man United player. I have me doubts even on Onana. But again, I back me manager because that's who he wants. And if Amrabat is that person, we might look. Some fans think Amrabat will be it. I kind of disagree with that, because if we bring in Amrabat, we'll probably take our time then and try get rid of the rest of the deadwood. And remember, the Glazers or whoever's running the club, whatever, we've been told by the club that whatever money is made through player sales will be used if the manager needs to use the money. Now, remember, we don't know how much we'll make with these players, right? But if we get to near the end of the transfer window, and say we have 80, 90 million just sitting there, right? United will make moves on the last day of the transfer window without a shadow of a doubt. They'll try bring someone else in, whether that's a centre back or whether that's another midfielder, so we have numbers in midfield. Because I'm a bit worried about Eriksen. I think he's lost another yard of pace. I could be wrong because it's pre-season. Even Casemiro looks a bit off. But again, I think people forget that when Casemiro first came here, obviously the manager eased him in. But when he played his first couple of games, he looked a bit unsure of himself. But he got into his groove. So I'm not worried about Casemiro. I'm not worried about Rashford either. I'm not worried about Garnacho. Pre-season, they're getting fit. There'll be games where they'll just absolutely click, and there'll be other games where we look, oh, Jesus, what are they doing? He's not even getting a touch of the ball. But that all changes when the season starts. And when they're back in England, which they will be after this game, the rest of their pre-season games are in England. And then that's where the hard work then starts, because all the messing then of the US tour is done with, the players then and the manager and the coaching staff can get their heads down. Right. I will talk to you in about, what's it now? It's 3:30. I'll probably talk to you in about half an hour, 45 minutes from now, where we'll be talking about Ramos Haaland and also Mason Greenwood, and we will look into those reports on Amrabat as well. So come and join me for the next stream, because there's lots to discuss there, especially around Mason Greenwood and our new striker, and hopefully, as I said, the kid can hit the ground running. That'll be brilliant, like Dan James did when he came in. Do you remember that? When we bought that kid, I was delighted for him because he'd recently lost his father. And then he came in and he was always supposed to be one for the future. But because the state the squad was in at the time, Ollie played him straight away, didn't he? But he hit the ground running and he scored some spectacular goals for us. Um, but then I honestly do believe we got rid of Dan James too early. It would have been interesting to see if what Ten Hag could have done with Dan James. Because I'm being honest with you, yes, some Ryan Giggs knows a good winger when he sees one, and there's one in there, and he had the potential to be world class. Um, but I always look out for Dan James, even though he does celebrate when. But I don't blame him because the club treated him like shit, man. Yeah, look, when the Glazers go, this is one thing that we have to do different. We got to stop treating our former players or players that we decide we want to get rid of with a lack of respect. They wore the jersey and they played for the club. Even if they're not club legends, like a little bit of respect and humility goes a long way. But what can you say? That's the current state of our club right now. Anyway, I'll talk to you very soon. Have a good one, folks.